Good morning, I'm Rich Pope with the Orlando Sentinel. This is a live update on Hurricane Matthew that continues to make its way towards Florida as of right now. The storm recently did strengthen into a Category 4, and it is very severe and needs to be taken seriously. Today for this update, I'm alongside Gal Zipperman Lotan, our breaking news reporter. I also have Jason Reuter here. He's our transportation reporter, and I have Jessica Gillespie. She's our social media reporter. So we're going to do some updates, find out what's going on with the storm. As of right now, I want to go ahead and put my attention towards Gal. Let's talk about the storm. As of right now, where is it? Where is it expected to go? Has the path changed much?
So the path has not changed very much. As of 11 a.m., the National Hurricane Center in Miami has it about 200 miles southwest of Palm Beach. And it's essentially going to go up the coast, kind of skimming it, and then continue going up toward the Carolinas and out to sea, we hope. It is currently at 140 miles per hour, the sustained winds, which puts it solidly as a Category 4 storm, so this is something that people should be taking seriously.
This is a big storm. I mean, that's the thing. This one is not a small one, and I think I read recently this is probably one of the bigger ones that actually hit mainland United States in a long time. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And let's say a Category 4, we're hitting 140 mile per hour winds. What exactly does that mean? I mean, we have storm surge also as well, I assume.
Yes, so the storm surge could be between, I believe, 5 and 9 feet. Okay. So that is along the coast. So that, again, is very serious. People along the coast have either had mandatory or voluntary evacuations, depending on where you are. It's not quite too late to get out if you are still along the coast. If you do leave by this afternoon up to later tonight, I would really suggest not pushing it, not really taking any chances, just for safety's sake.
As you mentioned, this as she mentioned, do not take any chances. This is a very serious storm, and if you have been ordered to evacuate, really take this serious because I don't think you want to be caught in this one. Yes. I guess the tricky thing about this storm too is it seems to be scraping along Florida, which you can't really predict where it's going to go at this point, but it seems like it's going to affect quite a bit as far as in our area here in Central Florida. Let's talk about those counties. Let's start out with Brevard. Brevard is probably expected to take probably one of the biggest hits of this storm, correct?
Yes. So in Melbourne, in Brevard County, they're expecting the highest gusts of about 144 miles an hour. Which again, solidly a Category 4. Those will hit around 9 a.m. tomorrow, and they will stay quite high, above 50 miles an hour until about 7 p.m. They can get about 10 inches of rainfall, or the predictions that we're seeing right now. So again, this is going to be a very severe storm.
I assume that's one of the areas that has been ordered to evacuate at this
point.
Yes,
the barrier islands and along the coast, those have had evacuations.
Okay, let's go ahead and go over to Brevard. Also going to be, Volusia. Volusia is going to get quite a hit as well, it seems like, with this storm. It seems like anything on that coastal area is going to get affected by this.
Yes, so they will be hit a bit after Brevard, again, because they're a bit further north. They're expecting gusts of about 128 miles an hour. And around 3 p.m. and by midnight Friday, it'll still be around 52 miles an hour. So the winds will stay very strong for quite a few hours.
Right, and it seems like those hurricane strength winds are even going further inland, whereas Orange County and Orlando is going to be affected by that possibly as well, correct?
Absolutely, yes. We're not out of the woods just because we're further inland. We can expect gusts of about 60 miles an hour at about 11 a.m. tomorrow, as well as 4 to 8 inches of rain, and we're going to see our highest winds between 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. So again, a pretty
That's still quite a bit of wind and gusts coming at us even inland in Orlando if it does continue on this track right now. Let's go ahead and go to Lake County. Lake County, a little bit further in, they've gone downgraded almost to a tropical storm warning, correct?
Yes, they are the only ones that are under not a hurricane warning, but a tropical storm warning. So not as bad as the coast, but again, still a tropical storm warning, still something to take quite seriously. They can expect the highest gusts of at about 2 p.m. tomorrow, 54 miles an hour. Only maybe about 1 or 2 inches of rain expected in most places right now. Again, as the storm comes closer, that could change. And the winds should subside, we hope, by about 7 or 8 p.m.
Right, it's quite a storm still ahead. Okay, let's go ahead and turn our attention to Jessica. Jessica is monitoring our social media feeds right now, and she is live right there. As you can see, she has her computer, which means if you have a question, go ahead and send it in to us, and we'll do our best to answer it right now. And if we cannot answer it, that's something on our radar as to something we probably need to get onto OrlandoSentinel.com, which I need to point out right now is OrlandoSentinel.com. All of hurricane coverage is open, unrestricted, free, so go ahead and use it. We are going to be here updating all day through the storm and through the night as well. So go ahead, keep an eye on OrlandoSentinel.com, and we will keep you up to date as we get information. So Jessica, do we have anything new coming in? Any questions as of right now?
We're getting a lot of questions about what kind of conditions can be expected in different parts of Central Florida.
Okay.
Different types of wind speeds. My suggestion for that, we are using information from the National Hurricane Center. You can always check nhc.noaa.gov for specific information on the map of the state of Florida to see exactly where you live.
Right.
To see, get a better idea for projected wind speeds for where you are exactly. We are also getting some questions. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I think it's Tanya. We are staying home. Should we stay in a closet, or is staying home fine? We're in Orange County. Do you have any suggestions for that?
So it really depends on how strongly the storm will hit. Again, if the wind picks up enough, if you have a lot of trees or debris outside your window, you may want to stay in a room without windows, or at least further away from the windows. I don't know if going into the closet for the whole storm would be quite necessary, but again, if the conditions seem really bad outside and you think that's what's necessary to keep your family safe, go ahead and do that.
Also, I think even having, if you can, have a weather radio on hand, because it seems like alerts come through when it gets to be those points where maybe tornadoes take place. You can get closer up to date actually with your area and probably know when you need to take cover in that type of situation, I would assume. So I'm going to go ahead and turn attention over here to Jason. So one thing, the roads with evacuations, how are road conditions? We're going to talk about transportation. I'm sure it's been pretty busy out there last couple days.
Absolutely. So construction, transportation here in the area is kind of like a turtle. It's kind of put its head back in its shell. All the cones are going away. All the construction ceasing has stopped. That includes, other areas like at the airport.
Okay.
And for roads, all those roads will be open. All the state roads will be open. And the governor decided to waive all tolls on Florida's Turnpike and at the moment Beachline Expressway.
Do you know how did the evacuation go? Is there still quite a bit of congestion out there at this point, or has it kind of lightened up a little bit? At
the moment, it's about par for regular Florida, which is pretty congested.
Okay.
But at the come tomorrow, who knows? Who knows how it'll be? But at the moment, I was on the roads early today. Wasn't that bad.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about travel as far as OIA airports. I assume they've had some closures already, right?
Oh, they've had about a dozen cancellations. I want to say, even more so for flights coming in. And lots of delays. I was there early this morning as well. Delays numbered, I think, more than 40 for arrivals.
Okay.
And they're going to stop all flights at 8 p.m. tonight.
8 p.m. tonight, that'll be the cutoff for flights to get in. As far as those flights, do they just delay until the storm's over? Is that typically how that works?
So what they're going to do is they hope to open early Saturday. So it's going to be closed all through Friday. They hope to open Saturday. They're going to do a damage assessment. And then pending on that outcome, their assessment, they'll either open it back up or do repairs.
Okay. All right. Well, Gal, let's go ahead and go back to some information about the storm. Let's talk about shelters. Like as far as if people have been evacuated, are in that mandatory evacuation zone, where can they find information on shelters?
So we have a list of shelters on OrlandoSentinel.com. There are shelters where you can bring your pets, and there are shelters where you can bring people with disabilities where they will be taken care of. So, this is one of the things that I know Governor Scott emphasized during press conferences during the last few days is don't stay home just because you don't think you can bring your pets. Every county has somewhere where you can bring them, and again, you can find that on OrlandoSentinel.com.
What do you know anything that people can bring to shelter? Say, is there something that they should bring with them? Say, past time, whether it be, can they bring? I obviously bring snacks, foods, things like that. Correct?
Yeah, and anything to pass time, especially if you have younger children. Anything, depending again on what they like doing. And keep in mind, electricity might be a little limited during and after the storm. So books, coloring books. I know I have a crossword book with me. Anything along those lines. Anything to kind of keep them active, keep them occupied.
Right. As far as pets, do you know what happens to pets? Do they kennel the pets, or what happens to those
animals? I think
animals?
it depends on the county specifically. Some places I believe will let you have them with you. Some places will put them in a pet-specific area.
So they might go to their own area where, if it's safe enough, you probably can go visit them and take care of them. Okay.
And again, that's something where you can find a list of the shelters on our website, and you can just call your specific shelter for your area and find out exactly what their plans are.
Okay. So Jessica, let's go ahead and check in with you. Any new information coming through as of right now? Questions?
We've got a handful of questions. I want to touch on a couple of them right now. Midge wants to know if there's any resource for finding gas stations that are open and operating. So I posted in the comments of this video if you're watching live on Facebook. If not, if you're watching through OrlandoSentinel.com, it's on our website as well. We've got a story that says about 135 stations in the area have run out of gas. There's a price tracking website called gasbuddy.com. And it's set up a station outage application, so you can kind of get an idea for what places are out of gas. I know that doesn't really answer the question of where there is gas, but that's what we've got online. That's what we know in terms of that. We've also got a question from Lauren. She wants to know if it's likely that Disney will close tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, Disney has not made any announcements on any park closings in specific, Disney or Universal. But we do know that Disney's closed and canceled Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party that's set for tonight. They haven't made any announcements about any other closings, though. Right now, our theme parks reporter Sandra Pedicini's tweeting that employees say that Universal's Parks and City Walk will close today at 5 and remain closed tomorrow. There won't be any Halloween Horror Nights. So we're still waiting on some updates from the officials at Disney and Universal on their plans for closing. In my opinion, I wouldn't plan on going to Disney World tomorrow, but that hasn't been official yet. And then there was another question I wanted to get to that I think that's really important. Christian wants to know, I have no idea what to expect inland. I'm told not to worry as it will just be rain and some wind. We've kind of already touched on this, but we should talk about it some more. We're expecting some major winds inland, even in Orange County. We're not near the beach, but we're expecting, Gal, you said hurricane force winds and in some places tropical storm force winds.
At least tropical storm. It depends where you are inland, but at least tropical storm force winds.
Right. Yeah. So I would say not to take this lightly at all.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to panic or freak out. Definitely staying calm is the best thing.
Stay inside.
Yeah. Right.
Don't go for a walk.
Yeah.
If you've got your dog, you have to be very cautious about, I know you probably want to go outside if it seems light, but I lived in South Florida during the hurricanes in 2004 and 2005. And that's not something that you want to risk for the safety of you and your family and your pets and your friends. It's better to just stay inside and wait it out. And if you do go out, if the eye of the storm is passing over you, you really need to just stay very close when those winds, especially from the wall of the eye, are going to come back through, and those are very strong and dangerous. So even if you're inland, you really just have to be very cautious if you're outside.
Yeah, I would say definitely take the precautions. I think the biggest thing, and maybe inland a lot of times, is the trees, things like that. And I think just preparing, like even the coastal towns, like getting things indoors that could be projectiles. I really don't take this one lightly for sure, but obviously it might not be as harsh as it's going to get on the coast, but it's still going to be rather significant.
Yeah, and this is the time to bring in any patio furniture, any grills. I know a lot of people, because it's election season, people have their campaign signs, and a lot of the time those are made out of metal. And if a big gust of wind comes in and blows those out of the ground, I mean, that can cause some damage. So it's maybe best to bring those back inside. You can put everything back out after the storm.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and circle back to this question about gas and see if Jason has any information on that as a transportation reporter. Could you tell us anything about gas, anything that you know, like any information about gas?
A little bit. I heard that Governor Rick Scott, I think, said that no gas might be able to come into the port, but he was saying that there are road ranger services on Florida's Turnpike. Someone gets their tire out, whichever, runs out of gas, they can help them out. Those trucks, the state FDOT trucks, they will all have enough gas through the storm, even if oil shipments can't come in through the port.
Okay, let's talk about some other closures too. As far as Sunrail, it seems like Sunrail actually going to be running today. What's going on with Sunrail?
So Sunrail is running for the most part normal times, except it's going to cut off a little early. The last service, I believe, is at 2:18 today. And it was supposed to be a really big weekend for Sunrail and have their first Saturday Sunrail with the Come Out with Pride parade. And they've canceled that as well.
Okay, that has been canceled. Let's talk about tolls. And I know they have been suspended, but is there a point where, say, on those roads, you're not allowed on them anymore? Is there a point where they say you're not to be driving?
I don't think so. From what I understand, if there's an evacuation order given for Orange County, for example, all tolls will be removed on all toll roads. And at the moment, it's just 528 in Florida's Turnpike. But I'd be very shocked if they were closed completely.
Okay, so or as of right now.
I think they're probably going to be a main factor for getting around during the storm for people.
I did drive in this morning on State Road 408, and those tolls were suspended.
Yeah.
So that
Really?
was I think they went up last night. Rick Scott said this morning any toll road in the affected area is suspended. The tolls are suspended. So 408, 417. I would think that would include the 429 out in Apopka
429.
and Winter Garden. The Florida's Turnpike is included. The Beach Line 528. So all of those, the tolls are suspended. So you can get to where you need to be safely and not have to worry about paying those tolls.
Okay. Jason here mentioned the Come Out with Pride parade and celebration was canceled. Let's talk about that and some other cancellations. I know we talked about theme parks, but what else is canceled this weekend?
Most of everything is canceled. If you want to talk about entertainment, the Come Out with Pride has been canceled. Spooky Empire is canceled for the whole weekend. If you are going to one of Garth Brooks' concerts, his Thursday and Friday concerts have been moved to Saturday and Sunday. We have that specific information on our website so you can figure out exactly when your ticket is good. Dr. Phillips Center for Performing Arts has canceled some performances of The Illusionists and Rock of Ages. The Winter Park Autumn Art Festival, I know a lot of people were really looking forward to that. That's also canceled. We've got a whole list. There's so many things. I could be here for 20 minutes listing them. It's on our website. I'll post it on our Facebook Live, and we're constantly updating it because we're reaching out. We've got everybody in the newsroom is hands-on, covering their beats, getting that information out. So it's taking a little bit of time to make sure we have it all organized, but we are updating this story as soon as somebody tells us. So we've got sports information in here. We've got transportation information. The Orlando VA Medical Center is closing all of its clinics today at noon. This includes locations in Vieira, Daytona Beach, Lake Baldwin, Lake Nona, Orange City, Claremont, Tavares, and Kissimmee. So there's information about that. There's information on courts. This is more than just entertainment and sports and the fun things. This is your essential information. So I'm going to post that right now into our Facebook Live. So if you have a specific question about something that's closed, you can check.
Do you know anything about businesses, like as far as like stores, things like that? Do we have any information about that as if they closed down early today?
I don't know that.
Okay.
We'll have to check, I think, with our reporter Kyle Arnold, but once we get that information, we'll be posting that on our website and on our social media platforms.
And I'm sure
as well.
that's a store-by-store decision. I get that. Okay, all right. So, Gal, let's talk a little bit about seniors in the storm. I know you're working on a story about that, and how should they prepare for a storm of this magnitude, at least?
Yeah, so I talked to a bunch of people yesterday. The thing about seniors is Florida is a place where a lot of people move to retire. So they may have come from a place where they don't really have hurricanes. They may have severe weather of other sorts, blizzards, things like that, but maybe not hurricanes. So people might just not know how to deal with it. Of course, a lot of them are just native Floridians who have been through this 1,000 times and are experts and know exactly what to do. So the main things would be to gather all your information, make sure you have enough food, enough water for both yourself, your family, and your pets. Make sure you have enough medication to last you through a few extra days, enough food, enough water, all your important documents that you may need. Kind of keep everything in one place so that if you do have to evacuate suddenly or something like that, you don't have to be running all over the house thinking, where did I put this, where did I put that? The other thing, I spoke with an Alzheimer's group yesterday that talked about how to help loved ones with Alzheimer's or dementia get through the storm. And of course, every person with Alzheimer's or dementia is a little bit different, and their caregivers usually know best as far as taking care of them. But what they recommended is if you do have to evacuate, try to take them somewhere that they're familiar with or would be a little more familiar with, just so it's a bit less jarring. A lot of shelters after the 2004 storms kind of changed the way they handle Alzheimer's or dementia patients, and instead of keeping them in larger rooms, like cafeterias or auditoriums or big open spaces, they'll kind of keep them in smaller classroom settings that are just a little bit less overwhelming. And then I know we all want constant news about what's going on, so we know what to expect, but that can sometimes be a little bit agitating to some dementia patients. So, if they start appearing a little bit agitated, just keep them away from the TV or the radio. Again, this is as long as they are not alone, as long as somebody else is there to stay updated with all the information. The most important thing was just to try and remain calm. don't
Right.
panic too much because it will pick up on your panic and anxiety,
Yeah.
and that won't help.
I
things
think
very
that's
much.
for most of us. I know as someone that's gone through these storms growing up in Florida, there's that emotional toll, that just waiting game of here it comes, and I think that really takes its toll on you. I know as you start getting into that, so I think a lot of the information is probably good for anyone, even the gathering your information as far as your important documents and gathering your medications, because I think that works for everyone, not just seniors
Right,
and special
absolutely.
needs as well. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as we wrap up here, Jessica, I wanted to go ahead and check in with you one more time, see if we have anything else we need to answer at this point.
So we just got some breaking news. Universal is officially closing its parks and canceling 2 nights of Halloween Horror Nights. We are still waiting for Disney news.
Okay.
The parks at Universal are closing early today, and they're not going to open at all on Friday, which is tomorrow. So they're closing by 5 today. City Walk employees and we'll also have the same schedule. So if you work there, if you have plans to go there, it's going to be closed. So that's official now, which is good to hear. But I don't think we have any other huge questions here on our Facebook Live.
Okay.
We're posting a lot of links in there to kind of help direct people who have specific questions about where they specifically live. So that's good.
Okay, well, as I mentioned, this is a significant storm, a Category 4 storm. This is a big storm, not to be taken lightly. And we will be here at Orlando Sentinel, keeping an eye on it and keeping it up to date. And as I mentioned before, OrlandoSentinel.com is completely open and unrestricted for hurricane coverage. So please keep an eye on that, and we will get out information as soon as we get it. So keep an eye out on OrlandoSentinel.com and make sure to get your preparations ready. As of right now, we'll be back at 5 o'clock for another update today. I'm Rich Pope with the Orlando Sentinel.